Mistakes I have made as an architecture student. These mistakes might seem very small that I'm going to discuss in this video, but these mistakes have delayed my career by at least 1 year. I would be way ahead in my career if I knew few of these fundamental things before getting into the industry or before completing the architecture. So guys, I want you to learn from my mistakes and not repeat them and probably excel in your career. So this video will be a very critical video for anyone who is thinking of becoming an architect or setting up their own firm or going abroad or anything. So these points are something that you need to take note of and work on. So without any delays, let's get started with the video. So guys, the first mistake I made as an architecture student was not relying on software that much. I did start learning software after my second or third semester. So I just know that basic software which every person knows is SketchUp and AutoCAD. I didn't learn anything else till second year. So that was one of the biggest mistakes that I had made. I should have started learning more softwares. For example, Revit. Another software that I regret not learning is Rhino in college, and also some of the software like rendering software. I didn't start all of these until the end of my second year. So if you are a young student and planning to get into architecture, I would say start learning as many software as possible. This world is of software. No one is using drafting. I know that still architecture colleges are emphasizing on drafting sheets and making drafting drawings. Of course, these are good, but at a certain stage, because they develop your patience, they develop your hand skills, drafting skills, because they come into play later because you try to visualize on 2D a 3D object. So that helps you in some different ways, but software are very important. Next mistake I did was not focusing on the external world. While I was studying architecture, the major mistake that happened with me was I didn't go out. I didn't see what is out there in the market. I was learning whatever the professor were teaching. I was doing all the assignments. I was doing a lot of things, but inside the college, I wasn't aware of the real life or real industry until I started my internship. So if you have the opportunity, or if you know people who are already into architecture and construction business, I would say get some exposure of site, get some exposure of what's there in the market. So if you don't have any of these, I would say start attending exhibitions, start going to conferences. Architecture conferences keep happening. So track these and go to these conferences, talk to people, meet new people, meet architects, and speak to them that what's going on in the industry, what is the latest thing that you have seen coming into architecture right now, what software are you using. So these kind of things will help you to decide what you should be doing, what you should be focusing on, and what's going on in the market. You should also focus on what are the types of jobs that are coming up in our industry, or what are the kind of skills that companies require. So basically, like talking to people and communicating with people who are already working as architecture professionals or have their own firm, this will give you a good perspective on what's going on in the market. One more mistake that I did as an architecture student was not knowing when to stop. So a lot of you will be studying architecture right now, I'm assuming. So if you are studying architecture and you want your design to be best, to be perfect, so I would tell you one thing: there is nothing called as perfect design. Okay, you need to understand that in college, when a professor is giving an assignment or a design assignment or a design project that you are working on, you need to ask yourself that when do I stop this? Set dates, set deadlines. If you don't do that, you will keep improvising your design, and that will make you get delayed in all of your project. This incident happened with me where I kept on working on my design, improving my design, asking different professor like what should I do, and every professor will have their own opinion. So just hold on to one professor, set a deadline and decide that okay, this is where I will stop my designing, and now I will work on the other aspects of design, like probably model making, 3D renders, working drawings, all of these things you have to do. So my only thing is, do not do not get into the trap of perfect design. There is nothing called as perfect design. Knowing when to stop is the biggest achievement of an architect. So my last mistake that I did as an architecture student was not thinking of my future very clearly. I was always thinking that okay, I will get out of this architecture college, I will work for a few years, like I will get some firm job in some firm, or work as an architect, junior architect, some places, and I will start my own firm. But the question is, what kind of design I want to do when I have my own firm? What pathway I have to take or I want to take as an architect? What kind of architect I will be? So once you understand that okay, you want to be this kind of architect, for example, you want to be an architect who treasures sustainability. Okay, so you need to focus, after leaving your architecture college, you need to focus on a job or an industry which is specifically into a sustainability. So try to find firms that are working in sustainability and all of these things, or traditional architecture or something like that. So try to find those firms, because once you enter, as soon as you leave the college and once you enter those firms, you will start developing the base of having your own firm. Because if you are an architect and if you just start looking for job, I went crazy after completing my architecture, because for 2 months 3 months I didn't do anything, and then I started looking for job, and then there was a pressure mounting on me, because parents started asking what about your job, are you looking for a job or not, we have contacts, this that. So it becomes a peripheral pressure on you. I would say start focusing on which firm you will be targeting after college. Apply for those firms. If you don't get it, try to find recommendations, but do not divert to just some firm because you were not getting job. You need to focus on which kind of firm you want or which kind of projects you want to do. I have seen people wasting their entire life into an interior design firm being an architect. So these kind of things, and then they regret. Then they regret after 4, 5 years, 6 years, or 10 years. They say that I never wanted to be an interior designer. I am an architect. I wanted to design buildings, but I got into this. Then my experience became limited, and then I couldn't get any architecture projects, and I'm an interior designer right now. So these kind of things shouldn't happen with you. I went into too many different fields. I went into interior designing, architecture, then commercial retail design. Then I am right now into BIM. So I have chased everything, and I don't want you to do that. I want you to focus on what you want, decide it early, decide your career, decide your pathways. If you want to do masters, you have to be focused for masters from the second year onwards. You can't fail in any subjects. You have to keep your ranks up. You have to keep your good connection with your professors for your recommendation letters, and you need to prepare how much money you will require for your masters. You will need to prepare your parents to help you achieve your dream of doing masters if you want to go abroad and do masters like me. So all of these things are very, very critical. Don't waste time like me. I worked for 4 years in India, and then I decided to go for masters. That's not right. Just work for 1 or 2 years in India and then leave for masters, because after masters again the journey abroad is for 4 or 5 years. So think about all of these, and if you think that whatever I have said makes sense, please go ahead, hit a like and subscribe to my channel, guys. I am trying to help you fellow architects or aspiring architects by my experience. So go ahead, support my channel, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.